rise to meet our graduates from the College of Education and Human Services, the College of Arts and Humanities, the College of Science, Health, and the Environment, the College of Business, Analytics, and Communication, and Graduate Studies, preceded by our distinguished platform guests and members of our faculty.
I'm honored now to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Brian French. Dr. Brian French was born in Sierra Leone and immigrated to the United States in 1990 when he enrolled as a freshman at then Moorhead State University. After graduating magna cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts in Biology and a minor in chemistry, he obtained a Master of Science degree in genetics from the University of Rochester in New York. He then attended the University of Minnesota Medical School and graduated in 2001. He completed his internal medicine residency at Abbott Northwestern Hospital in Minneapolis. On completion of his medical training, Dr. French served 4 years in the United States Air Force Medical Corps. He was stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio, during his years in the Air Force, but had 2 prolonged combat zone deployments to Iraq and Kuwait in support of Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. When Dr. French separated from the Air Force in 2008, he returned to Minnesota and joined the internal medicine hospitalist group at Abbott Northwestern Hospital, where he had completed his residency training. He served as lead physician for his group of about 70 physicians from 2012 to 2018. He has been recognized by the Minneapolis-St. Paul magazine in their annual top doctor listings for 5 consecutive years. He is an adjunct assistant professor in the Department of Medicine at the University of Minnesota Medical School and has received multiple teaching awards over the years in recognition of his education of medical students and internal medicine residents. He has been elected a Fellow of the American College of Physicians. Dr. French has served on the Minnesota State University Moorhead Foundation Board since July of 2019. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Brian French.
President Blackhurst, thank you very much for that kind introduction. MSUM class of 2021 and 2020, congratulations on your graduation. Completing an undergraduate or graduate degree is an epic achievement under ideal circumstances. In your case, you completed your studies during a global pandemic. Despite all the challenges you've had to endure, you made it to graduation day. Congratulations as well to your family, friends, and loved ones who helped you achieve this important milestone. When I graduated from MSUM in 1994, I never imagined that nearly 3 decades later, I would be addressing an MSUM graduating class. Prior to being invited to deliver this commencement address, I had assumed that university commencement speakers have to be famous and have an abundance of wisdom. Those preconceived notions of the attributes of a commencement speaker were shattered when I was chosen to deliver the commencement address. I will not be telling you today how to save the world or how to solve all the ills of society. For one simple reason: I don't know how to accomplish that Herculean task. What I do know is that despite your best laid plans, life never plays out exactly as you have it scripted. You may be frustrated or even distressed when you face unforeseen obstacles or delays in achieving your goals. However, in my experience, once you get past the initial disappointment, the outcomes of what life throws at you may be even better than what you had scripted, a phenomenon known as serendipity. My advice to you today is to embrace serendipity. Since you made it to graduation, I'm certain all of you are planners to some extent. I subscribe to the sentiment that chance favors the prepared mind. However, when your carefully planned life journey takes the inevitable detour or faces seemingly impassable roadblocks, do not be discouraged. I am confident that your MSUM education has equipped you with what you need to get back on the right path and achieve your ultimate goal, even if the goal achievement is delayed or arrived at via a meandering path. In my life's journey, I have faced barricades and detours. Despite transient setbacks, what at first seemed like obstacles or disappointments ultimately turned out to be fortuitous interventions. In fact, I believe I can attribute most of the best outcomes in my life to serendipity. One of those serendipitous acts was enrolling at MSUM. I grew up in a small West African country called Sierra Leone, where the temperature ranges 73 to 87. That's the range. After being accepted at multiple schools in the US, all of them much more expensive than MSUM, my value-conscious parents saw no reason why I should not attend the most affordable school. A prescient decision, it turns out. I enrolled at MSUM despite what many people told me about Minnesota weather. In my worldview, cold meant temperatures in the high 60s. When I arrived in Minnesota in late August, I was reassured. All those warnings about the brutal Minnesota weather were way overblown. Then August gave way to September. Then October brought some snow. And then the snow that fell in late October never melted until the next spring. I was shocked to discover that people not only survive freezing temperatures, but willingly participate in activities like ice fishing. Although I had settled on MSUM ignorant of the brutal Minnesota winters, it turns out that was one of my best life decisions. Soon after enrolling at MSUM, my family's financial situation dramatically worsened. Due to a civil war, my parents were unable to return home and ultimately applied for asylum in the US. I was not eligible for any federal loans or grants in light of my immigrant status. My parents worked around the clock, holding multiple low-wage jobs simultaneously in order to pay my tuition. So MSUM's affordability was a blessing. At MSUM, I received a top-notch education which continues to serve me well. My professors were accessible, and I developed lasting relationships with some of them and with fellow students. I recently celebrated 25 years of marriage to one of those fellow students. Thanks to MSUM's strong liberal arts education, I learned the art of critical thinking in the single most important college class I took, Dr. Ted Graysick's philosophy class, Contemporary Moral Issues. As my days at MSUM drew to a close, I was faced with the dilemma of how to achieve my long-held dream of becoming a physician. After being accepted at multiple medical schools, I could not immediately surmount a financial roadblock. As a foreign student, I was not eligible for any federal loans. I still have a letter from a prominent medical school which stated that I must show, quote, proof of $160,000 in an escrow account, end of quote. Besides the fact that I did not have even a tiny fraction of $160,000, I had never even heard of an escrow account. If some of you non-finance graduates know what an escrow account is, you are much further ahead in your financial knowledge than I was at age 22. I had to face the difficult reality that I could not afford to go to medical school immediately after college. So much to my mom's disappointment, I deferred my medical education and instead enrolled in a graduate program in genetics. Instead of paying tuition in graduate school, I actually got paid. Despite the initial disappointment of not proceeding immediately to medical school, I got the unique opportunity to do gene manipulation research and gain other invaluable life experiences. After 3 years of graduate school, I had a master's degree in genetics, U.S. permanent resident status, a newly earned seat in the University of Minnesota Medical School class of 2001, and a federal student loan. I made my way back to Minnesota for medical school, this time with intimate knowledge of Minnesota winters. Due in large part to my positive experiences at MSUM, I made the decision to make Minnesota my home. In the waning days of medical school, I happened across a United States Air Force recruitment notice for physicians. Joining the military offered me the opportunity to pay off much of my medical school loans. Plus, as my recruiter told me, the chances of being deployed or seeing actual combat in the Air Force was really low. I was commissioned as an Air Force officer in June 2001. 3 months later, 9/11 happened. I ended up being deployed twice to combat zones in the Middle East. In the meticulous scripting of my life, being in a war in Baghdad with occasional mortars being fired at our base was definitely not in the original script. Nonetheless, I thoroughly enjoyed the unique experience of my 4 years of military service. In addition to being one of the best financial decisions I ever made, along with attending MSUM, my military service afforded me the privilege of serving my adopted country that had given me and my refugee family limitless opportunities. I have shared multiple examples of how my life's journey did not proceed smoothly on the trajectory I planned. However, much of those detours ultimately ended up leaving me in a better position. So what I have learned is that despite our grand plans, life happens. Graduates, no one can accurately predict how your life will unfold. MSUM has prepared you well for a professional career. However, your life is not always going to follow the exact path or timetable you planned. You will run into obstacles, and sometimes you may have to take a detour or postpone the attainment of your goals. I urge you to be willing to chart alternate routes to your goals if you encounter seemingly insurmountable obstacles. When you face the inevitable hiccup of life, allow yourself time to assess whether, in fact, the disappointment is indeed a roadblock. It may be fortune dictating a better path for you. In other words, serendipity at work. Graduates, congratulations once again on your graduation from this great institution of which I am proud to be an alumnus. Welcome to the ranks of Minnesota State University Moorhead alumni. Go out and chart your life's journey to success, but be prepared for detours which you should not allow to detract you from eventually getting to your desired destination. I wish you the very best as you navigate life's journey.